And now that we have a better idea of how much this bad economy is going to cost us, it's up to the president, obviously, to convince Americans it is in their best interest to support his budget. David Schuster is live at the politics desk with the story. David.
Cameron, President Obama is diving back into the political battle over his economic agenda. He wants 14 million of his friends and supporters to jump in, too. For the first time since being elected, the president's former campaign manager, who is not part of the White House, is nonetheless pulling out the campaign mailing list, asking Obama supporters to put pressure on Congress to get the budget passed. This former campaign manager, in conjunction perhaps with the White House, is also using some star power. Actually, the president's using the star power to get his message across, meeting with California's Republican Governor Schwarzenegger, Pennsylvania Governor Rendell, and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg just a few hours from now. Of course, the man best suited to sell his economic agenda is the president himself. He embraced the opportunity in an historic appearance in NBC's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
What people should not do is forget that what has built America has always been a faith and a confidence in the future. And our future is bright if we take some smart steps right now.
Susan Ferrechio is chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner. John Decker is Washington correspondent for Reuters. And Susan, this effort by David Plouffe, who was the president's campaign manager, he's got these 13 to 14 million emails in the database. They were not allowed to essentially be brought into the White House. Plouffe set up this separate organization, but clearly he, perhaps with some convincing from the White House, figured, okay, now's the time to try to leverage all of this support. What do you make of it?
That's right. The real question, though, is whether he can get enough enthusiasm out of these supporters to really follow through. It's one thing to ask them to go out and get people to vote. There's a big election coming up. It's really exciting. It's very tangible. Getting folks to get out and talk about the budget and get to their neighbors and get their neighbors to call Congress, that's a little bit different. And so people aren't sure. So in a way, this is sort of a grand experiment to see whether or not a president can really utilize basically his base of campaign supporters to help move his agenda.
And John, over at the White House, are Obama officials there confident that this effort being conducted by Plouffe, that this will, in fact, bring the sort of leverage they're hoping for?
Well, I would say they're cautiously optimistic. Keep in mind that members of Congress are getting messages, emails, telephone calls from their own constituents that are complaining to some extent about the nature of this rise in the deficit that we're seeing. $1.8 trillion is what the CBO is projecting for this year. That's higher than the $1.3 trillion deficit that the president inherited. And when you have that kind of message coming from lawmakers, they're paying more attention to what's coming from the people that elect them to Congress rather than people outside their districts and outside their home states.
Last night, President Obama, of course, was talking about the economy on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, but he also seemed to sort of loosen up, and as sometimes is the case when we all loosen up, the president said something that he regretted. First, here's his comment about the Special Olympics. Watch.
I imagine the bowling alley has been just burned and closed down.
No. I've been practicing bowling.
Really?
I bowled a 129.
Oh, no, that's very good. Yeah. No, that's very good, Mr. President.
This is like Special Olympics or something.
The president then personally apologized to the chairman of the Special Olympics last night, and Obama's spokesman came back in Air Force One and issued a statement to the press saying there was no sort of intention to harm the Special Olympics. Nonetheless, John, we've seen this before. I seem to remember when Barack Obama made the comment about Nancy Reagan and the seances. It does seem that occasionally when Barack Obama is off prompter, he gets very relaxed. He says something that maybe he thinks is funny, but really isn't.
Well, I think all presidents, no matter what party, suffer from foot and mouth disease from time to time, and this was certainly the case last night on The Tonight Show. But as you mentioned, the White House issued a statement. The president apologized for the comments that he made. It is a distraction. It's a distraction from what he's trying to do as it relates to passing this $3.6 trillion deficit, from trying to bring the deficit down by half over the course of 4 years. But it's a minor distraction that will last for the next 24 hours or so, David.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we've all certainly been there, and I think people move on. Susan, I got to ask you, in terms of moving on, there's this event today the president's having with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Governor Ed Rendell from Pennsylvania. Explain the political strategy behind this.
Well, he wants to show that everyone's going to get behind him on moving his budget plan forward. But I think one of the interesting things to look at here is the way his message on the budget this week has sort of been drowned out by the whole AIG bonus mess. He planned this week, they've been planning, coordinating their efforts to try to build momentum behind passing his budget, which is basically an uphill climb in Congress. There are a lot of Republicans and some Democrats who don't like a lot of the provisions. It stands to get rewritten significantly at this point, and so they had been hoping to just stay on message and get people supporting the budget. And now you've got the AIG bonus controversy, which is kind of drowning everything out and getting everyone more apprehensive about spending more money. So it's, you know, he really needs this to work. He needs to show that he's got support and that, you know, his plan to get the economy on the right track is going to work.
Susan Ferrechio, Chief Congressional Correspondent for the Washington Examiner, and John Decker, White House Correspondent from Reuters. Thank you both for coming in this morning. We appreciate it.